Hey, this is Pradeep with Centutura, and today I'm sharing my impressions of a brand new house that was launched in 2021. It is called Spoturno. I'm saying brand new because even though their first fragrance was technically launched in 2021, their actual collection was launched just a few weeks ago, so we can kind of consider it to be a 2025 launch. Now, I'm not always looking to buy new fragrances or seek out and love everything out there. Especially these days, I have become more and more particular with what I'm looking for. So, there are three reasons why I was interested in this house. Firstly, this brand is from Francois Coty, the great granddaughter of Francois Coty, whose birth name happens to be Spoturno. I am sure even if someone doesn't own a Coty fragrance, they have probably heard of the name. Many great perfumers from the Guerlain family then to Frederic Malle now have talked about his influence on Western perfumery. He is essentially considered the pioneer of modern perfumery because of his revolutionary creations, which laid the foundations for what we are experiencing in compositions today. In terms of perfumes, there is Emeraude and Chypre, which of course became its own fragrance family. Obviously, they are either not in production or nowhere near the same composition in today's formulation. The trademark Coty is also owned by a huge conglomerate these days, which has multiple brands creating just disposable mass fragrances. Even their exclusive collection that launched recently was forgettable. I got to smell the original historical creations of Coty at the Osmothèque in Paris, which really changed my perspective on some other compositions, especially from Guerlain. We will come back to that point. Of course, very few have those bottles in their personal collection, so it is as big as, say, someone from the Guerlain family decided to start their own brand. Second, and this is the most important reason why I was interested, it is because they have been composed by Mr. Christopher Sheldrake, who is one of my favorite perfumers, as I'm sure for many of you. Third reason, they launched just one fragrance in 2021. It was an extrait de parfum concentration called Spoturno 1921, which is a recreation of Emeraude with the original formula, of course adopting it to today's standards and in compliance with restrictions. Surely quite a few of those materials cannot be used today. After testing it, I really liked it. So having heard about the brand, plus smelling this debut release, I was really looking forward to their Eau de Parfum collection launch. I was thinking whether all of them are going to be recreations of older compositions, but no, we have three original creations, plus an EDP version of 1921, which is the Emeraude recreation. So in total, 5 compositions. Let's go over them one by one, and in the end, I will highlight my favorites. First is 1921 Eau de Parfum. So this, in a way, is an iteration of Emeraude, which is widely considered the most influential amber oriental composition. You get this amazing lemony bergamot in the opening, and with that, the mind immediately goes to the now legendary Shalimar by Guerlain, only to realize this is what inspired Jacques Guerlain to create Shalimar, just like how Coty's Chypre inspired Mitsuko. There are some spicy, earthy, aniseic aspects coming in as well from the caraway seeds, I think. You have the beautifully abstract, classic floral bouquet, rose, jasmine, ylang, lots of glorious vanilla and amber here, backed by the florals and woods, even a touch of herbal lavender, possibly even some violet, iris, heliotrope, adding the powdery, vintage-esque, slightly soapy nuances, drying down to the sandalwood, patchouli and musk, with an added edge from some animalic notes. I think they list civet here. It certainly has that furry, sensual growl to it. It feels radiant, more vibrant, floral and a bit greener than Shalimar because of those aromatic touches. Also does not have a huge labdanum presence, at least in this EDP version. Honestly, as much as I like the current version of Shalimar, I think I prefer this. It is extremely well done, really beautiful rendition of that amber signature. The quality of materials here also feels noticeably higher, and let's be honest, Shalimar is a mass-produced fragrance now. LVMH must have strict guidelines for the cost. At least they are still producing it and people are buying it, so that's good. You can walk 10 to 15 minutes in any direction in Paris and find a place that stocks Shalimar. That's how big it is. Maybe a fair thing to do would be to compare the vintage versions of both, but that's for another time. Next, for the extrait version of 1921, which came first. No surprise, this is a faithful extrait de parfum version. Or actually, it's the other way around. The EDP version came out just now. It is as good as the EDP, if not better. It's more bold and rich and robust. There is this creamy, velvety, balsamic aspect to it, more ambery as well. And here, I'm getting more of the grand operatic character. Still a good amount of freshness, maintaining that radiance. Just absolutely stunning. Of course, this is almost double the price of the EDP. They even had a couple of limited edition crystal bottles, which are for a particular clientele, I reckon. Next up, going to the original compositions. This is Alphée. The note from the brand goes, quote, a tribute to Alphée Dubois, spiritual father of Spoturno. This fragrance evokes the happy years expressed in the memory of a cruise along the rocky coasts of Corsica, unquote. As such, this is a citrusy, aromatic, woody composition. Very fresh, uplifting, sparkling citruses like bergamot, orange, and particularly the juniper berries. Of course, the floral aspects are also present. Orange blossom, jasmine, subtle hints of spices and woods. I think they mentioned coriander and vetiver here. What keeps it from going in the conventional bergamusk territory is this myrtle note, which gives this sort of uplifting, herbal, mineralic breath to it. I even get something ever so slightly salty here, all drying down to clean white musks. They also mention ambrofix here, which I assume gives this clean, nondescript woodiness and functions as a fixative. It may remind you of bits and pieces of other fragrances in this style. I am thinking of the Chanel Les Eaux collection, for instance, especially with how this is teasing to be aquatic and yet it does not fully go in that direction. Even the perfume is blue in color, but there is certainly a breezy, sea spray, sunny, bright, yet cool azure blue quality to it. Some Acqua di Parma Mediterranean compositions also come to mind. At the end of the day, it is its own fragrance, excellently done, fresh composition. Okay, next up is Lamji Phénix. The brand says, quote, a scent of immortality, symbolizing Spoturno's rebirth, the mythical firebird featured on the family coat of arms, which is there on the logo by the way. I like this sort of Napoleon green color theme they have going on. Coming back, the phoenix sacrifices itself and rises from its ashes alone, a flame that becomes an emotion to be shared, sensual and warm, a deliberately masculine composition. Now when I first smelled this, I was right away reminded of a super popular Dior fragrance, and it is Sauvage Elixir. And from that, I inferred it's for a different audience. The others from this collection, if I generalize a bit, could be considered traditionally unisex, leaning feminine. So this is for the younger male customer, it would seem so. It has that spicy, inky lavender licorice thing happening initially, still fresh from the grapefruit. There is a prominent sweet vanilla coming through. In the dry down, it's darker because of this dry, ashy, tobacco leather combination, which is not there in Sauvage Elixir. Some nondescript woody ambers seem to be coming through later. This is easily the most modern, sort of designer leaning from the collection. I thought initially from looking at the website that this was going to be my favorite. Now it's the other way around. Speaking of which, next up is easily my favorite of the three original releases. This is Barbicaja. The note from the brand goes, quote, the light and carefree atmosphere of the Belle Epoque. The setting, the beautifully flowered garden of the Spoturno family home. Pioneers of orange tree cultivation on their estate, lulled by the sea breeze. It tells the arrival of fresh evening air, unquote. So it can be considered as kind of a sequel to Alphée, I reckon. When I first smelled this, my immediate reaction was, this person is clearly involved in the creation of Chanel Lace Exclusive, And I am not exaggerating when I say that. It really is that good. I have worn it for 2 days straight. It feels abstract, wonderfully composed, naturalistic, fine French perfume. It is this green, fresh, crisp, vegetal, pastoral type of scent. You have this fresh floral bouquet coming in. They list jasmine, tuberose, lily of the valley, orange blossom, hyacinth, and such. I can pick up hints of those florals, but like I said, this is beautifully abstract, quite an optimistic, evocative creation. There's got to be some green notes, possibly even some galbanum in there. What really elevates this scent or the additional nuances it has, this fresh cut grass, foliage, wateriness and crunchiness, that sort of texture really makes it for me. Still, it has that breezy quality. Again, it is not the same, but it is in the bracket of things like number 19, Cristal au Vert, and particularly Bel Respiro from the Lace exclusive collection. There's more depth in the dry down from the vetiver, patchouli, and this apricot, which almost gives this soft leather-like inflection. Just a stunning, contemplative, bucolic composition. Overall, I have been really enjoying testing these. My favorites, like I said, are Barbicaja and the 1921 Extrait version. The EDP version and Alphée are also quite nice. A very good debut launch for the brand. Certainly one of the better new debut collections in recent times. They also happen to be softer compositions, so it's not going to be for those expecting bold, diffusive, ambery scents like Serge Lutens and such, which is fine by me. The pricing I find to be on the higher side. It is 60 ml for 260 euros. The Extrait is 520 euros. Even the sample set was 60 euros. They seem to have positioned the brand as a proper French Parisian luxury perfume brand. They have used several artisans for the bottles, packaging and such. So they will have a particular clientele, I imagine. I have not been able to see a bottle in hand. Will probably try to visit their boutiques soon. It is definitely a brand for serious perfume people, which I like. I am also taken with the history and the neoclassical approach of their compositions. For now, I will continue testing them before deciding on whether I will buy a full bottle. If you have the chance to test them somewhere, I definitely recommend checking them out. Either way, those have been my impressions of the new brand of Spoturno. And as always, thanks for watching, take care and ciao.